When you think of someone in their 80s, your mind uses stereotypes and generalizations to often come up with an image of frail, immobile, doddery, batshit crazy, weak-minded, delete as appropriate. Edna Suttles was a bail bondswoman and dedicated time to looking in on the weak and elderly. She was an absolute force to be reckoned with. But when things went awry in her world, it was actually her compassion and decency that led to concerns being raised for her well-being. It was the subsequent investigation into her disappearance that ultimately led to the unmasking of a hitherto unknown serial killer. This is Murder of Crows. Travelers Rest is a city in South Carolina. According to the 2020 census, it had just shy of 7,800 residents. One of these residents was Edna Suttles. Edna Suttles was fierce before anyone really knew what that was. By 2021, she was 80 years old, and by way of showing you the two sides of her character, hard and soft, I will say that she was Greenville County's first female bail bondswoman, and she was once a restaurateur who burned down her own establishment after she was denied a liquor license. Proper badass. Now conversely, for over 50 years, she had cared deeply about the elderly and disadvantaged people in her community, and would often sit with those who had additional needs to provide respite for their caregivers. She was very much an armadillo. Hard on the outside, but very squishy and warm beneath the shell. She had a few recurring appointments for people that she would provide care or sitting for. And it was when she missed one of these appointments with no warning and no one able to contact Edna that people immediately began to get concerned.
Greenville County 911, what's the location of your emergency?
The thing is, a fitter was supposed to show up to be with my mom today, and she's in her 80s, and she didn't show up. We've come to her house, and we can't get nobody to the door or anything. Her name is Edna Suttles. It's not like her. She shows up like clockwork. So something's wrong.
The police started looking into her movements, and also the movements of her vehicle, a champagne-coloured Jeep Cherokee. And the concerns became elevated when her vehicle was seen on surveillance with Edna not being the driver. Rather, a bearded man of around 60 seemed to be using the Jeep. And the early footage seems to show this man with Edna Suttles. And this initial footage was from a Food Lion store in Traveller's Rest. And through looking backwards through this man's movements before meeting up with Edna Suttles, he was seen buying yogurt in the store. And a few days after Edna's disappearance, that same man was seen parking the car in a Best Western Hotel parking lot before meticulously wiping down the car, then leaving the parking lot. Further investigations led to the identification of this man as Daniel Printz, who worked as a handyman around the border regions of North and South Carolina. Delving more into the background of this apparent nice guy, found a very checkered past. He had a few petty crimes, including passing bad checks, concealed weapons charges, false titles for cars. But then in 1996, he picked up a 25-year-old woman walking home in Waterford, Michigan, about 35 miles northwest of Detroit. At this time, Printz, who was then 34, lived further north in Lake Orion. He knocked her out, then bound her wrists with duct tape, bound her ankles with shackles, and got her into his Oldsmobile SUV. At some point she awoke and moved to pick up a flashlight. He screamed that he would kill her, but she found a jagged wrench and stabbed him repeatedly with it. Printz threw her out of the car and sped off. He was found, arrested, and convicted of kidnapping, then sentenced to 13 years in prison. He was released from prison in 2009, and his parole was completed in 2011. Now, Printz's dubious actions, both his previous arrest record and his actions around Edna Suttles, saw police get a series of search warrants to search his home in Bostic, North Carolina. And the searches brought more than they could ever have imagined. Hidden in a bee box, effectively a hive that people use for raising bees, within this bee box were a number of items relating to Edna Suttles, including her Jeep keys and purse, among other items. They've also found, quite why he would keep this I don't know, but they also found an opened yogurt that after testing was found to be laced with Ativan, Tramadol and cyclobenzaprine. Why wouldn't he put it in the fucking bin? Additionally, the sweep of his home found numerous items relating to a woman called Nancy Rigo and her indomitable mother, Dolores Sellers Gore. Now, these items included a lot of prescription medication obtained under Nancy Rigo's name, and this included Ativan. Now, Ativan is perhaps better known to people in the UK as lorazepam, and is a sedative used to treat anxiety and sleep disorders, among other uses. But it is also known to be widely misused, both in terms of addiction and in terms of used to incapacitate people. Now, the items relating to Nancy Rigo and her mother were particularly interesting, since Nancy had been missing since 2018 and her mother had died just before that in November of 2017 at the age of 90. Among other items found included Nancy Rigo's driving license, her passport, credit cards and bank statements, as well as a purse belonging to Nancy Rigo's mother, Dolores. Ominous indeed. Equally ominous was the finding of a black bag containing, wait for it, zip ties, a taser, lubricant, and also a bag of what appeared to be crushed up medication bearing the label Ativan. Always nice to have a travel kit ready, as you do. While this hinted at nefarious goings-on, it is safe to say that police had enough to bring Printz in for questioning. He started on a Billy Bullshit route, trying to say that he had nothing to do with anything ever, honest gov.
7.
Okay.
So you're with her there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not saying yeah. I'm just saying that could be her.
Yeah, here's a different angle. But I mean, you know, we've watched this car, right?
Okay.
Here's y'all in the hotel parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh look, there's y'all backing in.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of different copies of it. Backing in.
Yeah.
Oh look, you get out. Nobody else gets out.
I told you that.
You're walking around the car.
Yeah.
You wipe the entire car down.
Because I was worried.
You were worried. There's you walking across the parking lot in front of Little Caesars.
Mm-hmm.
And there's you getting back into your car and driving away.
Oh, she's with me.
Look, man. Where's that?
We
need to know. And listen, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you are a good dude. I honestly do believe that you screwed up years and years ago.
Okay.
And now.
Can I look at these?
What?
I just want to look and see what you're talking about.
Let's.
No,
You need to hear this, man. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a bad guy.
Right.
Nobody is saying that you're some evil, twisted dude.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We need to know where it is. We've processed the car. We found the dirt. Where did you go off-road?
I never went
Where did
off-road
you
with her.
leave?
Oh! I can tell you exactly where she and I had gone off-road, please. When we were going from 25 south, there was, off to the right, there was a truck with a trailer and another vehicle there that had a for sale sign on it. And it looked like an older truck. and I needed a work truck. And I went ahead and I pulled in and with her, and then we pulled out. And it was right there on 25.
Where's right now? Her family is desperately looking for her.
She's missing right now.
Yes, Dan, where is Ed?
I don't have a clue.
Yes,
I dropped her off at her house.
Dan, please listen. You did not drop her off at her house. We have followed that car the entire day up and down 25. There's a number of minutes that are unaccounted for that are not by her house. Okay?
Which car? Mine or hers?
Dan, stop playing games. You know what
When I got, okay, I can help you here.
Okay.
You gotta give me a second. You gotta let me answer the questions when they're asked. When I dropped her vehicle off looking for the guy, she said she wanted me to take her and drive around in my vehicle. So I left her vehicle. I went down to Food Lion and she was in my vehicle with me. And I dropped her off at home.
Dan, we watched the video. She is not.
The car sits there.
It sits there, man.
No, not in her car.
No hurry.
My car.
We
I
watched you
dropped
go
her
back
off
to
with
Food
my
Lion.
car.
You did not drop anyone off, man.
I picked her back up. She sat in my car at Food Lion and I went back and got her.
No, you did not. When are you trying to say? Please explain. Explain yourself. Please explain at which point that we must have missed in the video that you dropped her off.
Okay.
We have a lot of it.
Okay. I get that. You don't have picture of her leaving Food Lion in my vehicle with me? If you don't, you should.
Why your vehicle never went back to her house? We have your vehicle, that silver car, going straight up 25 and not stopping at her house.
That's not true.
It is true.
I
Dan.
stopped at her house.
What's your wife going to think about this?
Well, my wife would be very upset if I had done something, but I didn't, and I don't know where Edna is.
I think you do, Dan.
No. I don't know where Edna is.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Dan.
Let's go back to why you wiped the car down. What you said you were worried about what?
The only thing I did was because I knew I'd been in and out of her car all the time with her. I'm like, there is no way in hell I'm going to just leave this thing here. Because she's got somebody that's after her.
Who would be after her?
Who's after her?
That guy with the fucking truck. She said she didn't trust him.
The PI?
Yeah. So somebody she hired as a PI.
His story's totally different. He's been doing work for her. I mean, on the son-in-law thing. I mean, we've interviewed. I mean, he had no, he didn't meet with her that day. So that's just,
Right. That's why I said she hired another PI. I'm sure you're recording this. If you go back and listen to it, I told you she said she had to hire another PI and she sold stuff.
So here's what we have. You're leaving and going back to the hotel. Pack the car and wipe it off. And we got you going. Why behind the hotel? Why was it there?
I was just parked over there because she said she was wanting me to see the guy. If the guy actually showed up there, she said, I'm getting worried about this
At the
guy.
back of the hotel.
Yeah.
But you didn't stay there but a second. You jumped right out and wipe it down and take off.
The woman was carrying a gun. She was scared for her life.
She had a gun?
Yeah.
What kind of gun?
Some kind of little semi-automatic she had with her.
Okay. But then you go across through 2 or 3 other businesses to get over to Food Line, and you get in your car and leave. Is that correct? That's
I
what
just
you did.
walked this kind of the straightest route from there to Food Line.
You did, and it's not making sense. I mean, you're the last person to be in a vehicle you wiped out of a lady that's missing.
That sounds really fucked up.
It does. It does. That's why we're here. But and then it's fucked up as it sounds. We're having to do it right. We're going to do it right but we got guys down there now that are homing in about where we think she might be. A lot of people. This is just getting bigger and out of control. I mean, a lot of people.
You think she might be where?
Somewhere between her house and the hotel where you dropped the car off.
You think that I have this lady?
Possibly.
Okay, I'm going to say this.
Possibly.
Okay,
Enlighten me if I'm wrong.
You think, I imagine the way you're saying this, you think she's probably not alive.
We don't know.
We don't know, man. We
Okay.
don't know.
She could be somewhere.
Okay.
She could be going on a rendezvous with somebody. We don't know.
Well, she was kind of a little horny old broad.
Was she? Because we looked at everything about her and it seemed that way.
Yeah, she's a horny little broad.
Did she ever pay you that way?
Hmm?
Did she ever pay you that way?
No.
Down there?
No, I did not
Man,
accept
it's totally
money.
cool if she did.
I realize that,
But
it would be,
you have it all
okay. So I said, sure, I'll drive up there and drive around. It would throw him off if it wasn't, if he was looking for her in her vehicle, he'd be like, oh, it's a vehicle that looks alike. So I go up there and I drop off the vehicle. I go back down to my vehicle to where she is sitting at. She's perfectly safe and fine in my vehicle, Food Lion. I said, what do you want to do? Because she says, if we're going to keep looking for him, I don't want to be in my vehicle because I don't want him to spot me if they're doing something stupid. I'm getting scared. I said, okay. Then she said, you know what? I need my medication. Take me home. Let's get my medication. And I got her home. I said, what do you want to do now? I said, because I can't be doing this all day. I got to get back home. I got to do the things I'm doing. And she said, tell you what. My daughter's going to be coming up here. She can take me to go get my vehicle so you don't have to run around all over. Thanks for everything you've done. I said, okay, I'll see you later.
Have you ever done this for her before or anybody?
No.
You know, like a bouncer or a bodyguard or anything like that?
No.
You've never had to do this?
No.
It's a pretty interesting story.
She's scared.
Yeah, I understand. But about 30 minutes ago, you couldn't even remember going the day you went down.
I couldn't remember if it was Thursday or Friday. I said, I don't know if it's Thursday or Friday.
And then we get this elaborate story.
It's not elaborate.
I mean, it's detailed if you're not a
What I did, all you started out with was, were you there Friday? And I'm like, I don't know. It was Thursday or Friday, and I'd been there earlier in the week.
Why'd you move her driver seat up? Why'd you move her driver's seat up?
Move her driver's seat up? I never moved her driver's
You're
seat.
the last one in the car in the video.
I never moved her driver's seat when I got in.
You drove without Cat?
Yeah.
Okay. All the way pushed up?
You
was pushed.
Well, I didn't want to. All I did was sit in her car, drive it up there. It was just right around the corner, man. I'm not going to go adjusting somebody's seats and playing with their seats.
Right around the corner. It's like a 10-minute drive from her house to the hotel.
Just 4 or 5 miles down there.
I just never moved a vehicle seat. I don't move my wife's vehicle seat when I get in my wife's car.
So when you were driving her back, did she say anything?
Back to the house?
Yeah.
She said, I'm feeling sick in my stomach. I really need my medication.
What kind of meds?
I don't know. You mean that she said I can't take this anymore. I can't take this anymore. I've had about enough of this.
Where would she go?
But she did not say something to me that sounded like I'm going to kill myself.
Okay. Did she ever tell you about like her favorite places to walk or go, anything like that? Because
she said that she used to. What was the name of the place? I made fun of it when we were going south one day, because we'd gone more than one day to different places together. And, you know, you get public relations with people and you get to talking to them and they get to where they like you.
so you've talked a lot about her daughter. What about problems with her son?
Actually,
Did she ever talk about her son?
he's very protective and kind of like the saint of her life.
Really?
You know, she loved her son very much, loves her daughter very much too. But she loves her son very much and she loves her daughter very much. And she said that the daughter and the son don't get along at all. And I wouldn't take anything from that to have to do with this.
But when faced with the insurmountable evidence, he started to try to barter and stay in control.
And there are things that are going to happen. And I'm a realist. And I have acceptance with this. I would like a little bit of control in how they happen. If you tell them to turn that off, I will talk to you a little more freely.
It was only after his confessions and further investigation that the full scale of Printz's crimes became apparent. Well, I say full scale, but these are the ones that we know about. Having said that, it is clear that Printz is such a narcissist. I don't know if he could stop himself from revealing the full extent of his genius. But as I say, this is as far as we know. And it's enough to see Printz qualify as a serial killer. Now, we've already looked a little at the life of Edna Suttles, since it was her disappearance that led to Printz's downfall. But now I want to look a little bit more at the other women that Printz preyed upon. Starting with, I guess, it would kind of be a joint look at Nancy Rigaud and her mother Dolores Sellers Gore. Nancy Rigaud, as a younger lady, once worked at a computer company in Baltimore with her best friend, Rebecca Peeler. And Rebecca fondly recalls, "We gravitated toward each other. She was so funny. She loved life, and there was a joy about her." Now, the two had met on a 6-week training course in Miami, designed to prepare attendees for work in a call center for Eastern Airlines. The two became fast friends and would regularly socialize together along with a group of other young single ladies. As they got older, rather unsurprisingly, life got in the way. Rigaud got married, and Peeler went to Charlotte to care for her father, and later got married and adopted 5 children. Now, while the two ladies physically drifted apart, she would hear sporadic updates, including the sad news that Nancy's mother, Dolores, had died, and this saddened Rebecca. Now, she had only met Dolores a handful of times, but what she did know was that Nancy utterly adored her mother. Now, Dolores also had a son in addition to her daughter Nancy. She was in generally good health, but had suffered an ankle injury in 2017 that she was recovering from. She had lived through the Great Depression and was a great storyteller and singer. She had been a general manager at a property management company in Charlotte in her younger years. But by the time 2017 rolled around, she had long since retired. During her recovery from the leg injury, her daughter Nancy introduced her to a handyman that she had befriended named Daniel Printz. What happened in the time after that is open to conjecture. But when Dolores died at the age of 90, many people were surprised because she was in remarkably good health for her age, barring the leg injury that she was recovering from. But given her age, no autopsy was performed. All Rebecca Peeler heard after the death of Dolores was that Nancy had decided to go off the grid and live on a ranch in Texas with a man called Printz. After this update, people would receive infrequent texts and messages from Nancy, but many people that felt that there was something off about the messages. But with all of this, the bottom line was that Nancy Rigo, who was 66 by the time she officially went missing in 2018, and who had been running a successful marriage therapy business, Nancy went to Texas and never came back. The other known victim of Daniel Printz was a woman named Lee Goodman. Now, Lee got married very young and was just 19 when she gave birth to her daughter Michelle. Now, Lee's life would be filled with ups and downs and erratic behaviour from then on, as she would divorce and remarry several times over the course of her life, eventually having a total of 4 daughters, while also obtaining a degree in occupational therapy and ultimately working with kids in juvenile facilities. Lee ended up reconnecting with Michelle's dad Mike and in later life, and they would spend 5 happy years together in Arizona until she disappeared in 2018, though her behaviour had long been unpredictable before then. The cause of her frenetic choices and erratic behaviour eventually became known. She was diagnosed with 2 disorders: bipolar, with obviously high and low mood swings, and also schizoaffective disorder with hallucinations, delusions, along with mood disorder symptoms such as depression or mania. The result of that would mean that she would have a breakdown, be homeless for a while, and then show up again. But her cell phone was powered completely off on September the 11th, 2018. But then it would turn on again a few days later. Now, Lee was seen with Printz in a North Carolina restaurant at about that time, but she was never seen again, and she was 60 years old. So it was clear that Printz honed in on older ladies with a degree of vulnerability. Maybe his experience with the younger woman who ended up stabbing him and he chucked out put him off the younger women, and maybe that the disappearances or deaths of older women would cause less of a fuss and be less likely to be looked into. And to a degree it seemed he was right, since it was only with the disappearance of Edna Suttles that any sort of stir seemed to be created. The interrogation footage has shown what an arrogant, narcissistic arseburger Printz is, and I have absolutely no doubt that had he not been caught when he was, he would definitely have killed again. He eventually agreed a plea deal with prosecutors that took the death penalty off the table. I'll put the details of the plea agreement on the screen. Feel free to pause the video if you want to see the details and minutiae of the agreement. Quotes from law enforcement included, "Printz is a monster who has a long history of targeting, kidnapping and killing women, causing unimaginable loss to his victims and their families." This was a quote from U.S. Attorney Corey Ellis, who went on to say, "He has earned every day of his life sentence, and our communities are safer with him in a prison cell. We are grateful that the court delivered justice today, and we hope it provides some measure of comfort for the victims' families." Prince's day of reckoning arrived in a federal courtroom, said Dina King, U.S. Attorney for the Western District of North Carolina, whose office participated in the prosecution of this case. She went on to say, "This man is responsible for the deaths of multiple women and has caused inconceivable pain to their loved ones. A life behind bars is a just outcome. Prince's violence against women is reprehensible, and he earned the court severe penalty for his crimes." This quote coming from Susan Forensic, the FBI Columbia Field Office's special agent in charge, and she went on to say, "The sentence will never bring back the victims, but it's our hope that the victims' friends and families find peace in the memories of their loved one." He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole by U.S. District Judge Donald C. Coggins Jr.
Live at 5 with more breaking news. The family of this upstate South Carolina woman is one step closer to getting justice tonight. A local man just pleaded guilty to kidnapping and killing Edna Suttles.
WBTV first broke details of the investigation into Daniel Printz back in March, and now we've uncovered new court documents that detail what led investigators to that woman's body in the woods of Rutherford County and the connection to a missing Charlotte woman. Our Morgan Newell joins us live at 5 in the studio with more on this. And Morgan, today I know you talked to someone very close to Printz.
Yeah, Jamie, that person wants to stay anonymous tonight, but is describing a previous relationship with Daniel Printz in great detail. The man investigators long suspected of killing Edna Suttles just appeared in federal court to plead guilty. From the time Edna Suttles was last seen in late August, it took investigators 9 months to find her body more than 60 miles from her home in the Greenville area. I dug through 15 pages of a criminal complaint detailing months of investigators gathering evidence from Daniel Printz's home.
He does not need to be out.
A person from Daniel Printz's past is speaking exclusively with WBTV about his past actions and the crime Printz is pleading guilty to in South Carolina.
He was always one to show off, and it was like he would just progress from one thing to the next.
The details from the criminal complaint horrifying to this person familiar with Printz, but they say none of them are surprising.
I was never surprised. I mean, of course you're shocked that somebody you know could do such a thing, but it didn't surprise me in the end.
No surprise for this person because of the signs they say they saw.
He even killed our neighbor's dogs, and she found the dog later with an arrow in it.
The trouble starting back in his teenage years.
He went into the Army right out of high school. He was basically told if he didn't go in the Army, he was going to end up in jail because he was in trouble then.
The criminal complaint also talks about Printz as a person of interest in missing persons case and refers back to a kidnapping conviction in Michigan, a case the person who knew Printz was also familiar with.
He had her legs shackled and her wrists tied up with duct tape, and she woke up in the back of his vehicle, and she just thought she didn't have anything to lose. She grabbed a screwdriver that was on the floor and slashed his throat.
So why all of this coming out now? In one of his interviews, Printz said he was trying to disclose his sins and purge himself, a statement this person believes could be true.
In the end, you have to answer for everything you do here on Earth. Maybe he's thinking more of his future, I don't know.
Right now, Printz has not been charged in connection to Nancy Rigo's disappearance, even though investigators say they found evidence related to her case in his home. As for the other charges in the Edna Suttles case, Printz could face life in prison or even the death penalty. He's set to be sentenced tomorrow in Greenville.
This video is, of course, dedicated to Dolores Sellers, Nancy Rigo, Lee Goodman, and Edna Suttles. Their only misstep was crossing paths with and trusting a sociopathic bastard. I truly hope that they have found peace. Thank you for watching another episode of Murder of Crows. I'm Steve. Samson has spat his dummy out and is pouting on the other side of the room. But I will see you when I see you.
Say